Hey, Live All Good podcast listeners. Right around the corner is another episode of the Spotlight Series coming up. In this episode, we talk about how performance is driven by your mental state. We talk to a coach who does just that with athletes, helps them correct their mindset in order to get peak performance. Stay tuned. The new Spotlight Series is coming up next. Hey folks, this is Lee Grigsby here, health and life coach and founder of Live All Good Coaching. I'll be on the air with Podcast Business News Network talking about the various things around health and wellness and mental health. Also talking about how mindset is critical to achieving the goals that you set for yourself. You can reach me at liveallgood, the number 44, at gmail.com, or you can go to my website, liveallgood.com, and fill out the contact form and reach me there. Once again, that's liveallgood.com. Go to the About section, fill out the contact form, or you can reach me at liveallgood, the number 44, at gmail.com. Hey folks, welcome to the Live All Good podcast, the Spotlight Series. We are here with a special person, a fantastic coach. I want to introduce you to the director of Driven to Peak Consulting, Patty Lou. Patty Lou, how are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you doing, Lee?
Awesome. Glad to have you here on the Spotlight Series. So for our listeners, before we jump into what Driven to Peak Consulting is about and what you do, we'd like to learn a little bit more about you. So, we don't have to go all the way back to when you were like 2. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, let's find out a little bit about Patty Lou. Like what was it like for you growing up? Were you into sports, that kind of thing? What kind of got you to this point?
Okay. So I was born in Richmond, Virginia, born and raised in Richmond, Virginia. And
Awesome.
I was not your typical girl per se, because, Asian culture,
Mm-hmm.
there's not really athletics, sports was not really a popular thing. It's hard to get them to change their perspective, their point of view from
Okay.
sports being a thing you can make money off of
Mm-hmm.
rather than just a hobby. So I was
Mm-hmm.
not your typical good girl in that sense. I, when
Gotcha.
I was 6, 7, or 8 years old,
Mm-hmm.
I saw Michael Jordan win his 5th and 6th championships on TV. From that first exposure, I fell in
Nice.
love with sports. And I
Mm-hmm.
knew from that moment on, I wanted a career related to sports. I started taking basketball. I started playing basketball seriously in the
Nice.
backyard of
Nice. Oh, so I got a quick question for you then. And by the way, I watched those championships too. Those were some pretty good ones. By the way, he also went to the school that I didn't go there, but I love North Carolina Tar Heels.
mhm.
And as a side note, they're the ones that just beat Coach K in his final game coaching, but that's a side note, folks. So we won't continue to beat that up.
Yes, I saw the speech after the game. He made the comment he still loved his players, even though
Absolutely.
they might not believe it after the loss. I mean, it was double digits.
Absolutely. He in all due respect, even though I'm a Tar Heels fan, he is a great coach. Absolutely. So I got a quick question for you. When you started playing basketball in the backyard and with friends and stuff, um, how good did you feel that you got? Were you going around elbowing everybody trying to drive to into the
Well,
bucket, or
I
how
wish
serious did you
I
take it?
played organized basketball, if I
Mhm.
could do it all over again, I wish I played competitively because I
Mm.
didn't know.
Mhm.
I would never know how good I would have gotten. There was a joke that I experienced those growth spurts because I played basketball. However, I'm still very short. I'm around 5'1", 5'2". But there was a joke that
Gotcha.
I got those growth spurts because I
They
played
played.
basketball, and that when I picked up golf because
Mhm.
of Tiger Woods, that paused my growth. I don't know how much of that was the truth or was that just people messing with me.
I'm sure that was people messing with you, but hold on. So, okay, you bring up another huge sports icon in Tiger Woods. So, okay, and you mentioned you picked up golf. Talk about that a little bit. How did Tiger Woods like influence you to pick up golf?
It was a raining summer day. I was bored channel flicking, and then I saw Tiger Woods play golf.
Hmm.
I don't remember if it was a major tournament or just a regular tournament, but
Hmm.
just watching him play there from that moment on, it was like I fell in love right there. And he was struggling at that time
Wow.
because in 2000 he had a
Hmm.
great season, but you and I know replicating success is the toughest thing in sports. Well, in
Absolutely.
2001 he didn't have such a great season, and
Hmm.
I was at when I started watching him, he wasn't winning all those majors that
Mm.
season.
Gotcha.
So from that moment on, he made me want to try golf.
Hmm.
Trying golf meant taking golf lessons. And in
Hmm.
the process of taking golf lessons, I became aware of athletes' wants, needs, frustrations, and fears because I experienced them all.
Hmm.
Luckily, I had that golf teacher provide me that non-judgmental and safe environment to honestly discuss my struggles. Not all
Nice.
traditional sports coaches do that. I
Hmm.
was lucky enough to have one who did. And since I was majoring in psychology in undergrad and I knew I
Mm.
wanted a career related to sports, I pursued my master's related to performance and sports psychology after undergrad.
Hmm.
And I believe that everyone is one caring person away from a success story. If I can be that for athletes, I've done my job
Oh
because
wow.
what my golf teacher did for me, he only
Hmm.
does what I do at a very, very surface level because he's a traditional athletic coach. He only
Mm.
focuses on teaching sports skills.
Hmm.
And the difference between me and him is that I don't teach sports skills. So sports coaches' jobs are safe as can be. They don't need
Mm.
to see me as competition. I focus on teaching the sports psychology to
Hmm.
take the athlete's performance to the next level.
Gotcha. Would you? I have a question for you then. And thank you for that, like actually putting it out there. Would you say that? Because a lot of people talked about Tiger Woods in his mentality, right? Would you say that that also drew you in, the his mental, I guess, toughness? Because if you already had taken golf lessons and started playing golf, I've not taken lessons, but I've played a little bit, and I'm horrible. So we know how mentally challenging golf can be, right? Would you say that Tiger Woods' um, mentality on the golf course helped draw you to that, right?
Yes, yes, his determination,
Hmm.
his never give up mentality. I
Hmm.
mean, he doesn't give up until he finishes the round. The round can go south
Hmm.
as it can get. He still finishes off, and it doesn't
Hmm.
matter.
Or like the one tournament, I think it was a U.S. Open where I think he had a torn ligament in his leg or something
Oh, that was the last US Open he ever
that
won.
he won. Yeah,
Yes,
he had a
yes. It
torn
was like
ligament
2000, yes,
and
2008,
played.
2009. He won
Yeah,
it on one leg.
I remember that. And that is not just, well, I don't know if we would encourage anyone to do that, but that's a lot of mental toughness as well to focus in and block out that pain, if you will, to go ahead
Mhm.
and keep performing. That's amazing. Actually, another question. Where did you? I heard you said you were in undergrad and grad school. Where'd you go to school, if you don't mind me
Um,
asking?
yes, undergrad was Randolph-Macon College in
Hmm.
Ashland, Virginia. So
Okay.
I commuted all 4 years I was there.
Oh,
For
nice.
grad school, Virginia didn't have any graduate programs in sports psychology and
Hmm.
still doesn't. I went to the University of Tennessee of Knoxville.
Ah, okay, nice, very cool. Shout out to both your schools there. Nice. So then, before we get to a break, what kind of transitioned you, or how did you get started from, I guess, once you got your graduate degree, right? What
Mhm.
got you started thinking about doing coaching as a career?
Well, after grad school, what really led me to is I had trouble finding a job related to sports and performance psychology. And then my
Mm,
friend was like, "Why don't you start your own business?" I did the same. She already started her own successful sports and performance psychology, and she encouraged me to do the same. So I was on my own for a year and a half. And
mm,
for the year and a half that I was on my own, people couldn't associate driven to peak consulting with a target population. I had to hire my first business coach. We
mhm.
started working together in October of 2019 to clear up my messaging to help me niche in. And then she was like, December of 2019, she was like, "Patty, woman, I'm giving you until December 27th to pick your niche. Do you want to work with entrepreneurs? Do you want to work with people in the area of exercise performance?
Mhm.
Or do you want to work with athletes?" And then I was like, if I was on my deathbed, what population can I not live without myself trying to help?
Mhm.
And that was athletes. So
Wow.
I focused in on athletes. Well, a couple of weeks before niching in, I
Mhm.
didn't know I would meet an entrepreneur who would change my life forever through a free 5-day virtual workshop on email list building. She took me under her wing for a year when she didn't have to. This version of me you see right now, a lot of it is her influence on me. And fast
Nice.
forward now to my current business coach, I'm
Mhm.
working with her to grow my business.
Nice. I like that. I think we were I'll give everybody a little tidbit. Pre-show we were talking about Patty Lou 1.0 and now Patty Lou 2.0. I folks have learned the Patty 2.0. So awesome coach here. So Patty Lou, why don't we take a break?
Okay.
And after the break, we'll come back and really dive in and talk about what Driven to Peak Consulting does. How's that sound to
Okay.
you?
Okay. Yes, that sounds great.
Cool. All right, folks, stay right there. We're coming right back after the break. Hey, folks, this is Lee Grigsby here, health and life coach and founder of LiveAllGood Coaching. I'll be on the air with Podcast Business News Network, talking about the various things around health and wellness and mental health. Also talking about how mindset is critical to achieving the goals that you set for yourself. You can reach me at liveallgood, the number 44, at gmail.com, or you can go to my website, liveallgood.com, and fill out the contact form and reach me there. Once again, that's liveallgood.com. Go to the About section, fill out the contact form, or you can reach me at liveallgood, the number 44, at gmail.com. All right, folks, welcome back from the break. As you heard in the first segment, we are here with the director of Driven to Peak Consulting, Patty Lou. We learned a little bit about her inspiration. Clearly, she was inspired by Michael Jordan. She was inspired by Tiger Woods. And she's got some great mentors who she mentioned have gotten her from Patty Lou 1.0 to Patty Lou 2.0. And that's the Patty Lou that we have now. So, Patty Lou, let's go ahead and talk about what kind of services or what does Driven to Peak Consulting actually do? What do you provide?
Okay, Driven to Peak Consulting, we are a sports psychology and performance consulting company. I put athletes in the best position to get an athletic scholarship for college or to go pro by decreasing the pressures related to competitive sports and stress so that they can play freely. The goal of sports psychology is to get athletes to play freely, which is when they put on their best performance consistently. What is sports psychology? Sports psychology is motivation, confidence, focus, self-doubt, overcoming fear, focus, performing well in practice and competition, habits, routines, and with performing well in practice and competition, oftentimes what gets athletes in trouble is that you see this magical performance in practice, this awesome player in practice. However, when you get to competition, you're like, where did that player go? The player I saw in practice, what happened to him or her? They were able to put on this magical performance in practice, and then in competition, they crack under pressure and disappear.
Gotcha. I thank you for spelling that out with some of the tactics that you talk about and what the difference is, right? One question I have for you also is what types of athletes do you work with?
The youngest one I've had so far is 10, all the way up to the college level. And that is not to say if I get an Olympic or professional athlete, I would turn him or her down. Of course I would not. That's my dream.
Nice. Go ahead.
I'm not saying I won't work with athletes who are younger than 10. However, the youngest one who has approached me so far has been 10.
Awesome. And what types of, has it been all different types of sports? Has it been like, do you find you work with athletes in one particular sport? What do you find?
So far, the athletes I have worked with so far has been a track athlete, basketball athlete, football athlete. I haven't had volleyball yet. Soccer, football.
Okay. Any
softball.
Oh, I was going to ask, any baseball or softball players? Okay.
I haven't had a baseball player yet, but softball is the female version of baseball.
Nice. Cool. Another question, what might be one common thing, because I know every athlete is different and I know every athlete has to work through something different, but what might be one common thread or one common thing that you have seen with the athletes that you work with, if there is one?
They could always use a increase in work ethic. Not that they weren't working hard. Some were already working hard. Well, a couple of them, the 2 football players who were a part of the first 3 athletes I ever worked with, they were actually working hard already. But when we got into the sports psychology sessions, they saw how they were slacking off a tiny bit due to COVID. At that time, taking away a little bit of their motivation, wondering if they're going to have a season or not. And without mandatory practices, I mean, every once in a while, they'll take a day off rather than go out to the field to practice with a group of friends. The basketball player, the 10-year-old basketball player, before working with me, he really struggled with hard work ethic. Like, he didn't have one. It was like he was passionate about basketball. He has the genes and the genetic makeup to become an NBA basketball player. However, he just didn't have the work ethic. his world consisted of video game prior to us working together.
Gotcha.
And
And could be typical. Yeah, it could be
Mhm.
typical of 10-year-olds, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
but you had to say, go ahead. What flipped that? How did you help change the 10-year-old's work ethic from, man, I want to play NBA 2K all day, right?
No, he didn't want
change
to
that?
play NBA 2K all day. That was the trouble. He was choosing Fortnite over NBA 2K. And then I was like, let's just try it. For one of your Fortnite sessions, play NBA 2K instead for at least 30 minutes. And when he saw the moves that he was able to do in NBA 2K, because NBA 2K has gotten to the point where you can create a character that resembles yourself rather than doing those moves randomly around the house. He, instead of just doing the moves around the house after he played NBA 2K, he just got out there and tried it in real life basketball. And that was what flipped the switch.
Wow, that's pretty awesome. I never would have thought that, right? And I love how you subtly suggested, hey, you know what? Cool, Fortnite's a great game, that's fine, but you want to be this basketball player. So, how about you play a basketball game? And then, subtly helping him or her, I don't know, I don't remember, but helping the 10-year-old see um that, you know what? Wow, if I want to do this that I'm playing, I guess I got to go and do it in real life.
Yes.
That's amazing. It never would have, as a coach myself, you know what? I never would have imagined having to coach around video games and use it. But you use that as a tool. That's pretty awesome.
Yes,
Yeah.
and I got the college football player, to think of other ways to use the NFL.
Nice.
Yes.
Nice. That's pretty awesome, man.
Yes.
Cool. Well, you know what, Patty Lou? I want you to, what's one thing that you want to leave our listeners with? Again,
Okay.
I want you guys to understand that she is the director of Driven to Peak Consulting, but also clearly works closely with these athletes, right? So give us one thing that you want to leave our listeners with.
It doesn't matter if the athlete is performing well, that if the athlete is performing well, I can make their performance soar. Parents of athletes and athletes get themselves in trouble when the athlete is performing poorly or in a slump. That is when they think of me. I much rather they think of me when the athlete is performing well. That way I can just help them soar. It doesn't matter if the athlete is in season or not. If they're not in season, just like learning how to walk and run takes time, practice, and effort, so does learning sports psychology techniques. Actually, the best time to implement this is the preseason or the off season. If the season has already started, they need to implement as fast as possible because like I said, it takes practice time and effort. And 1 hour a week is not time consuming.
And if they're in that season, I can understand that. If they're in season, that can be a little bit more overwhelming instead of out of season when you're putting all these habits into practice that they're working on. Yeah. Nice.
Well, it's hard to get them in the off season now because it's either off season for travel ball and they play for their school team, or if the school team is not in season, they're playing travel ball.
Yeah.
So it's nearly impossible to get them in the off season.
I got
It's
you.
like it doesn't exist.
Yeah, right. There is no off season now. You know what? In closing, Patty Lou, how can anyone get in touch with you? And I will make sure I add this to the episode notes, the show notes. But how can they get in touch with you if they want to have a consultation or talk about more services you provide?
driven2peakconsulting.com. And to go directly to the appointment, it's calendly.com/driven2peakconsulting. My social media channels are Driven to Peak Consulting.
Nice. Driven to Peak Consulting, guys. So if you remember that, driven2peakconsulting.com. Go to the website. The calendar link is on there. It's Calendly/Driven to Peak Consulting. And you can find her on the social media channels through Driven to Peak Consulting as well. All right. Well, Patty Lou, we have enjoyed having you on the Spotlight series this time. I would love to have you back sometime in the future. We can talk about more athletes. We can talk about maybe any new services you have. I'd love to do that. How's that sound to you?
Yeah, sounds great. I would love to be back.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Well, you guys, this has been the latest episode of the Spotlight series under the Live All Good podcast. You can find us on Spotify, on Google, Apple Podcasts. You can find us on Amazon. You can also find us on some of the minor podcast platforms as well. All right, folks, until the next time, this is Lee signing off with Patty Lou and the Spotlight series.